Hello, beautiful people. You want to know something? I had this odd odor condition for about 20 years or so. And within these 2 decades, I've done a number of tests. I went to a number of different doctors, from obviously primary care physician to gastroenterologist to what are these skin doctors called? I'm blinking out, geneticists, etc. Took a number of different tests. Many of the tests were just told me that there's nothing wrong with me, or it just came back negative. And when this happens, it leads me into a position where I feel like I'm out of options, where I don't know what's going on. So naturally, I would just continue with my life, try to stick to a diet. I always thought I had TMAO. Off and on, I thought I had TMAO, but within the last couple of years, I verified that I did not. But the point I'm trying to make is that with all these doctors and tests I went to, it always gave me this feeling of being lost, because it's always saying there's something wrong with me, or I'm fairly normal. But I keep referencing back to this article that was written on Reddit about this guy who cured himself by following a certain regimen. And I try to follow the regimen by like fasting for 5 days, doing like a diet, very strict diet with like chicken and salad. In any case, one thing that was in this post I thought was interesting is that he took a GImap stool test. And pretty much a GImap stool test is, it analyzes any type of pathogens, bacteria, or like overall health of your digestive tract, just by analyzing your poop. So you take a dump, you put the poop in some type of cup, you send it off to a lab, they analyze the poop, and they'll say, okay, this is what we found in the poop. We can estimate that you might have this type of bacteria, this type of pathogens, and it might go further depending on the different type of tests. Now, from what I gathered when I was just doing some little research, I know there's a couple of tests, fairly popular tests that are out there. One of them is the Genova test. Another one is IFDW. Another one is Biome. And another one is Thorn. There's probably many other GImap tests specifically to analyze if you have IBS or SIBO or whatever digestive issues. You have to do your own research. I don't know which one is considered the best of the best, so you should do your own research with regards to that. But at least have some information in terms of like the 4 tests I already mentioned, or the 4 different companies I already mentioned. For example, Viome has a gut intelligence test that's around $279. Genova has a gut health test that's around $370. IFDW has a GImap test that's around $497 if you want to spend big money. And Thorn has a test around $198. And I want to reveal something to you. I'm cheap as shit, so naturally I just went to the cheaper option, which was Thorn. So I spent $198 to take this gut microbiome test. I did it back a couple of months ago. I think I purchased this somewhere in March, or maybe probably March. Sent it out, and I got results in April 17th. It was like maybe a 6 to 8 weeks when I did a stool test, and I shipped it. It took like 6 to 8 weeks to process. And what it revealed is that I had a slight amount of gut dysbiosis. I had a weakened immune system, and I had a high amount of bad bacteria within my GI tract. I wanted to say this because I wanted to make the statement, just like what I was saying originally early in the video, is like, I never really had any test that showed any significant markers that there might be something wrong. But within the Thorn test, it did reveal these things. It did reveal some things related to gut dysbiosis. It did reveal that there were certain pathogens or bad bacteria that were within my gut microbiome. So this is one of the very few tests that show that there's something off. Now, do these things that are within my gut microbiome tract automatically mean this is a strong correlation that this is why I have this weird odor condition that's similar to TMAO? but it's not T-mal. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a scientist. I would not know the answer to that, but it's something to go off of. And what I do like about the Thorn test is the fact that they do provide some type of solution of what you can do to try to alleviate some of the symptoms or improve some of the markers. And there's something else I wanted to mention. Yeah, I wanted to mention that this is not me trying to sell you gut microbiome tests. Obviously, they cost hundreds of dollars. If you are already getting like substantial information from like tests that you get from gastroenterologists or primary care physicians, maybe you don't really need to do microbiome tests. But if you're like me and you've had this for a number of years, you went to a number of doctors, took a number of tests, and many of the markers or levels or whatever thing that they were trying to analyze or assess came back fine, and you're like, I'm at a dead end, I might recommend try to get a gut microbiome test. I'm going to make a follow-up video showing my results from the Thorn test. And I do want to say, well, I'll put the caveat later once I actually do show you the results from the Thorn test. But in any case, I just wanted to talk about that. I'll put some links to the different tests I found on the internet that seemed like the most popular, or the ones that at least put the most ads on Google. And that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to talk about. You guys have a good day. Bye.